Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for attending. My name is Stephen McCaskill, and I am the CEO of Dasset. I want to wish you all a happy 2022. It's going to be a very exciting year for both crypto and New Zealand in general. And so let's get started. So normally I don't start or even go into details with the market, but as I'm sure everyone has questions, what's happening with the price, what's happening with the market, I thought I would start with that and go a little bit deeper. So as you can see, last year, Bitcoin has had a double top in terms of its price, and since mid-November has been declining in price. As you can also see, a lot of the trade volume was up until about June last year. And we haven't really had the same type of trading volume since about June of last year. And so I'm going to just go into the bullish and bearish cases for what's happening in the market now. And we'll start with the bear case. Looking at the market, there have been a number of external influences on the price of crypto. I think about October of last year, the Chinese government put in a mandate to require Chinese traders to essentially stop trading. They needed to get off all Chinese crypto exchanges. And if you, New Zealand's a unique perspective because of our time zone. And so you would see a lot of buying in European and North American markets for crypto. And when the Asian markets opened up, you'd see a lot of selling. And part of that was so that Chinese traders could meet this deadline. In addition to that, there's been a very strong correlation between the narrative behind excessive money printing and the flow of those funds into things like crypto. There's been enormous amount of stimulus packages globally, and that usually comes from more debt and more money being issued by the national, by the government in that jurisdiction. And so more money means people are receiving that money in loans and subsidies. And what do they do with it? Well, they go and spend it. And so we've seen a lot of spending of government subsidies given through things like wage subsidies going into crypto. So in some ways, you can see crypto as kind of that direction of funds that are kind of have nowhere else to go. And so that's at least played into the large increase in the crypto price during these lockdowns of the last 2 years. But really, the narrative has changed where inflation is being recognized as a growing concern. When you look at things like food prices going up between 10 and 40% over the last few years. And so as a response, the central banks have tried to curb inflation by either stopping things like quantitative easing or signaling that they're going to increase interest rates and starting to increase interest rates. So in addition to that, there's a lot on the horizon in terms of regulation. There's going to be an executive order in the United States, whatever that means, for crypto next month in February, along with a lot of new regulations, which I'm going to go into. And then this kind of goes back to interest rates, but the I often see Bitcoin as kind of that canary in the coal mine, where like institutions, financial institutions look at Bitcoin as a higher risk asset. And because they see it as a higher risk asset, when they believe their risk profiles are increasing, the first things that they're going to sell are the higher risk assets. The first things that they're going to sell are things like Bitcoin before they sell their stocks. And then the other thing, and this isn't really a bearish case, but NFTs have exploded over the last year. And so NFTs, you can classify as a different asset class from crypto, but you can't really have an NFT without crypto. And so the value that's been in crypto is now entering the NFT market. So people are buying these NFTs with their Ethereum, and that Ethereum then gets sold, where the value is then transferred essentially into this NFT. And so when we look at Bitcoin's correlation recently, we've seen that it has had a very, very strong correlation to the S&P. And it doesn't mean that when the S&P moves, Bitcoin's going to move. What I believe is that correlations more related to what's coming out of the central bank and the ideas that are happening out of the central banks. And so the S&P, the US stock exchange, has essentially been in a bear market since its all-time high last year. And when there are signals that interest rates are going to increase, that means there's going to be less new money in the market. And so that drives the prices of things like Bitcoin and S&P down. Now, people say that Bitcoin or crypto is a really great investment because it doesn't correlate to any other market. But we clearly see that that's not the case here. That's not the case recently. And but that doesn't mean that this correlation is going to maintain. I really do think that this is a event-based correlation as opposed to a long-term correlation. Very similar to March of 2020, when the stock market collapsed, Bitcoin collapsed as well. Bitcoin went from about $11,000 to $3,500 within a day or two. And so if we do see weakness in the legacy markets, those institutions that need to sell assets or need to find a safe haven, they're going to sell their crypto as well as they're going to sell their stocks and other assets. On the flip side, when we look at what's happening, this market sentiment is very unusual. Usually you have a lot of people that are very bullish and a lot of people that are very, or not a lot, but a majority of people in the market are bullish, or a majority of people in the market are bearish. And right now it's neither. It's split between both sides. So there are a lot of people that have very positive or bullish sentiment right now in Bitcoin and in crypto, despite what the markets are doing. And they have good reason to when they look at things like people or public companies like Tesla. They're not selling their Bitcoin, they're holding on to it. People like Michael Saylor, who's bought tens of thousands of Bitcoin publicly, and he's stating he's not going to sell. In addition to that, we've seen longtime Bitcoin holders. They sold off in late 2020. They sold off in early 2021. But now they're buying. So from a fundamental perspective, they see the value happening in the crypto space. The supply of Bitcoin on exchanges is diminishing very rapidly. There's about 2.3 million Bitcoin that's liquid on exchanges at the moment. And that supply is continuing to diminish as people are scooping up these coins. So although we're seeing sell-offs from specific entities, more institutions that are trying to de-risk, we're seeing even with Dasset, a lot of retail entering the market. There's been a lot of money on the sidelines that have been waiting for this time to purchase crypto. The other overhang, and this is, I put it as a bearish case, but it's also bullish, regulation. Regulation means certainty. That means that businesses that are more risk averse have clear paths forward. And so with that in mind, this is creating an environment for the markets to grow. Then we're seeing every single company, not every company, but if you look at retailers across the board, from McDonald's to Walmart to Subway to every food chain under the sun, every fashion company under the sun, getting into crypto. We're seeing Apple and Facebook and Visa making different plays in the space. And so that is going to create enormous momentum over the next year. And so here, as you can see, the supply, even though the price of Bitcoin has been declining, the supply shock, the supply of Bitcoin on exchanges is continuing to decline. And that is because people are accumulating Bitcoin because they are very bullish long term. And so what does this mean? This means that when that supply shock happens, there's going to be enormous positive momentum in the crypto markets. So the reality, what I think is actually happening is because there's so much uncertainty both ways, we're entering a phase of accumulation. We're going to see a lot more sideways. I think if you're trying to bet up or down, then you're likely, especially if you are using derivative products, then you're going to get in a lot of trouble. Because I think there's going to be a lot of short-term volatility of the market really establishing itself as a $1 trillion asset class. I don't think people really realize what it takes. We haven't really had a new asset in a very long time. And, before Bitcoin, you could say our data on the internet was kind of a new asset class. And now, we're finding a new asset class, and it becoming a $1 trillion industry is very, very challenging. And so making it its own is really, I think, the story for the year. And what that means is that businesses in the industry are going to be building lots of products. There's going to be lots of new product releases this year. And these products are going to make life infinitely easier. We're using things like MetaMask, but I really do see MetaMask as a MySpace. It's shown us what's possible, but it is very clunky. It's very hard to use. It's not that user friendly. And so while the market essentially establishes its base, while people continue to accumulate, while the industry is essentially de-risking, there's going to be amazing products that we can use this year. So what's happening? These are kind of the big things that I think is important to keep an eye out for. There's lots of new infrastructure getting built, but that user friendliness is also happening. a lot of people are talking about Metaverse for this year. This is the year of the Metaverse. And I don't really think that's the case, and I'll go into it. But the next big thing are DAOs. Really excited to see DAOs finally starting to take off. And this could be a great opportunity for New Zealand and Kiwis to look at DAOs as structures that can really help boost the New Zealand economy. NFTs will start being part of your everyday life. So it's not just this digital, tangible thing that we're experiencing. So that's not going away. There's definitely fads within the NFT space, but it's going to continue to grow. Ethereum, the biggest thing is scaling. A lot of people were talking about Ethereum to $10,000 last year, and that just, I could not see it. The big reason why I couldn't see it is the fees, the scaling. It's just so clunky that I don't think anybody would be willing to spend $1,000 on a $10 transaction, and it's just not feasible. And so this is really the year to nail scaling so that we can, or the industry can bring on the next billion people into crypto. So let's go into each one in detail. Infrastructure. If you ask anyone in crypto what your favorite bridge is, everyone will have a different answer. They're popping up left and right. There's maybe a dozen of them now, and they are enabling liquidity transfer from one blockchain to another, from a layer 1 to a layer 2, and the market's really saturated, but nobody has a favorite yet. There's a lot of competition here, and I think that it's going to be part of the mix, but the big thing is really that user interface. MetaMask is not user-friendly. We are seeing having to switch networks, having to move assets from one chain to another. It's just not going to fly with mass adoption. And so I'm really looking forward to a MetaMask killer, a MetaMask replacement, apps, wallets that have that user interface that push all of this one layer down. We've exposed the infrastructure, we've exposed the problem, we've seen how clunky and difficult and challenging it is. And I think this is the year that all of that gets pushed one layer down, where people have that direct access to being able to transfer assets, and they're not really aware that they're transferring it from one chain to another. Layer 2 performance, this is scalability. This has to give way this year for the market to move on, and it's getting there. When we look at Bitcoin, we have the Lightning Network. El Salvador rolled out Bitcoin to the country on layer 2. The fees are astronomically low. You might pay a 1,000th of a cent to send Bitcoin on a layer 2. So these will really be the direction that we're moving in for the industry as a whole. So what's happening in regulation? This is a big one. There's going to be a lot of regulation coming down this year. I think some of the challenges, and I don't think the regulators are going to get everything right, but I think some of the biggest challenges will be around DeFi and KYC and transaction monitoring. This is going to be a sticking point for a lot of entities, and just trying to figure out what is DeFi from a product perspective, and who's liable, and how do you handle these issues to create better consumer protection. Um, the travel rule. Now, this has been around for a long time, and I think the industry is not doing a great job of letting consumers know, but this is a very scary piece of it's a very scary idea what's happening. And essentially what it is requiring are exchanges to share your personal private information with each other, and also a public shared database. So FinCEN, the Financial Crime Enforcement Network in the US, has created a public database, and any exchange in the US that's where a customer is transferring crypto from one exchange to another, the exchange has to share all the customers' details with this database that US regulators are essentially controlling. In addition to that, they need to share the KYC information with the other exchange. So this, I think, is a very dangerous thing. It's going to cause, it's putting people's personal data at risk. It's creating liability where there really shouldn't be. And there's also no really easy technical or technological solution for exchanges to comply with these rules. For example, in South Korea, exchanges are banning the ability for sending or receiving crypto to private wallets. So wallets where consumers have custody, which is just not the direction you want to go in. That's going to cause all kinds of issues, especially for people who do care about their privacy. And so New Zealand's a bit behind in the travel rule, but this is something to keep an eye on. And I think this is where consumers really need to push back to preserve their data, because I don't think people want their data flying around the internet. And so it's really important, I think, for people to kind of learn and understand a little bit more about what the travel rule is. Stable coins, there's some guidance, regulations that are starting to come out. In the US, a stable coin essentially has to be a bank to operate, and may need approval from things like the Treasury Department. And so, New Zealand's a bit behind here, but we are seeing the regulations starting to come in other jurisdictions. You can't really talk about 2022 without talking about central bank digital currencies. That is very much going to be a thing this year. We already see multiple countries that have issued their digital currencies, and such as Cambodia and China, and they're making big headway in that front. And so we're going to see many, many more countries releasing or very close to releasing their digital currencies this year. So I couldn't really give this presentation without bringing up Facebook. Facebook is what has rebranded to Meta, and they are trying to make big plays in this space. But and there are a few reasons why. So I want to talk a little bit about this. And it's not just Facebook; it's also Google, it's also Amazon. And no insult to IBM. We work with IBM. My dad used to work at IBM, but the fact is, IBM's heyday is over. They had their heyday in the 80s. IBM was very innovative, was ahead of the curve. They were, leading the way in technology, and they made a lot of money, and that has enabled them to survive and persist. And because they have so much money, they're able to acquire other companies. They're able to they're able to sometimes get lucky and find the next big thing because they have so many resources. And I think we're kind of seeing that with Facebook. Facebook's heyday is over. I'm sorry, Facebook, but you have had your prime, and you're not going anywhere. I don't think companies like Facebook and Google are going to go anywhere. They're going to be around for decades. They just have so much capital, they have so much money that they're going to be surviving for quite some time. But the only thing is, they're not going to be leading the way. They are not leading the new technological revolution. They're not. They're not the ones that are disrupting our way of life. And so I do think that Facebook's going to be a follower as opposed to a leader. I am quite shocked and happy to see that Mark is seeing that there is something next. Mark Zuckerberg realizes that the internet, especially Facebook, has been saturated, and looking for what's after the internet, what's after what we have now. And he can identify the trends. And so he's been very good at seeing the trends and attempting to capitalize on them. So of course, there was the first one, DM. Facebook started too late and went in a very difficult direction because of how established they were. They weren't able to get it off the ground very quickly. They had enormous pushback, and the essentially public and regulators really kind of shut down this Libra coin offering that they were attempting to do. They rebranded to DM, and I'm not entirely sure how factual this is, but it does seem like they are shutting down the project. They're not really, it looks like they're selling assets within the project. And I think it's not going to be that revolutionary thing that that crypto brings. And so they might launch DM, but it's not it's not going to be the next big thing for Facebook. So then we have the metaverse. I think this is a bigger opportunity to Facebook, and more of a I guess a threat to the space. But again, I think that Facebook's going to be a follower here and not a leader. I think the innovation, is really going to come outside of Facebook. That's not to mean that Facebook will buy the companies or attempt to make its way into that realm. I just don't think they're the ones that are going to be making the world changing things first. So NFT trading volume. That had a little bit of a slowdown in November when the crypto prices were moving up, but they're getting bigger. Crypto is a fad, but NFT is seen as a fad. It's when you have every celebrity under the sun doing an NFT, their own project. We expect there to be massive corrections, but it's just getting bigger. People are getting more involved. You're seeing companies like McDonald's issuing NFTs, and although they're probably, can't say they will definitely not have any value, but it's likely that they won't. But it's definitely the trend that is continuing to persist, and I think it might buck the idea that it is a fad. There are fads within the NFT space. There's a lot of money that's being lost by investors, but as a space, there is merit to it, and I think it's going to get bigger before that fad kind of dies. And so this is kind of some of the things I'm looking at. People often say, oh, NFTs, this JPEG, like who would want to spend $10,000 on a JPEG? But the reality is and this is something that took me by surprise last year, and because something that I have been hoping for a long time are decentralized social media networks. And I thought that was going to come from crypto, and there's been multiple attempts. However, what's happened is it's really come from NFTs. So these NFTs are creating personal communities that are that people are able to get involved in. And so each NFT is like its own identity. And so in a way that NFT is your social media profile that you have complete ownership and control over. And so, and it's giving you access to communities of like-minded people, of people who are into the same things you are. And so, these NFTs that are $50,000, well, I can tell you that when you buy one of those NFTs and it gives you access to a group of people who've been in crypto for 10 years and understand crypto the same way that you do and are able to identify trends and help each other, that $50,000 becomes a very valuable asset and valuable return, because it's very likely that if you are a crypto investor, you will get that return back from working within that community and networking within that community, because they're giving you offers that you can't really get outside of that community. And so we're going to see a lot more of these where I see it like an NFT project, almost like a subreddit, if you're familiar with the social media Reddit platform. And so people who are interested in that topic or have an interest to invest in that NFT and be part of that community. And so this is what's disrupting Facebook. This is what Facebook should be afraid of, really. Again, gaming is bigger than something like the music, television, and TV show industries combined. And so there's still a lot of growth that's going to happen there. And then lastly, every retail company is getting involved in NFTs. Nike just bought an NFT project, and it makes a lot of sense that they are tokenizing things like Gucci bags or Nikes to help prove its authenticity. This NFT is only issued by Nike and essentially is associated with a pair of shoes, so you know that they are always the real deal. Lastly, Proppy. So Proppy's, so I put Nike, Gucci, Proppy. Proppy is real estate. So NFTs that represent housing titles, car titles. I'm surprised that Tesla hasn't turned their car keys into NFTs, because that's an obvious next step. But I'm almost certain that it's going to happen this year when you're looking at fashion brands and you're looking at what's happening in the real estate market. So back to Metaverse. So everyone is looking at Metaverse for this year, and I had an epiphany sometime last year that it's really not going to happen. It's very similar, like in 2017, everyone was very bullish on DeFi. It wasn't until 2020 that DeFi really became a thing. And so a lot of the Metaverse projects grew by 1,000 to 10,000% last year. And I think it's going to be very similar to 2019. A lot of these projects are probably going to lose 50 to 90% of their value by market cap. And these are things like Decentraland, Sand, Axie Infinity, where this year, similar to 2019, is mostly development. It's focusing on creating product to match with the hype. There's been so much hype over the last 8 months about this, but there hasn't really been product to match that hype. And so this is the year that we're going to be developing, building, and launching product. So we will see the launch of products, but I don't think we're going to have the buzz that everyone's expecting. We are going to have a lot of new businesses, a lot of legacy businesses entering the metaverse, but it takes time. It takes time to develop. It takes time to find the right product mix that enables that consumer adoption. And so, these are some projections. They project, according to PwC, by 2030, $1.5 trillion in wealth in the metaverse. This I would not be surprised by. What this does is create more engagement, more personal engagement between people around the world. You can go into an office meeting in the metaverse and engage with somebody else at a very personal level, as opposed to being able to do it on the phone or Zoom, that kind of stuff. It allows you to engage with products in a more immersive environment. And so really that's what it is that immersion, that experience where it's like you're there. It's like you're breathing and or smelling and hearing and seeing it as if you were there. And so metaverses are going to be a thing, but I don't think they're going to be a thing as much this year as people think. So DAOs are phenomenal. In 2012, 2013, I was all about Bitcoin. At the time, there was no term blockchain, and there was big Bitcoin and little Bitcoin, where Bitcoin was the unit of account and big Bitcoin was the network or the blockchain. And somebody really changed the way I thought about the industry and where the industry was going, and that was Vitalik Buterin, the founder of Ethereum. He wrote an essay in Bitcoin magazine called Decentralized Autonomous Corporations. And this was the first time I really realized that the blockchain is far more as a tool that for many, many things, not just for money. And so this, for me, was my light bulb moment to realize how vast and how enormous this industry is going to get, and how impactful it's going to be, because it's going to change so many different aspects of our life. And so after Ethereum launched, there was something called the DAO, and there was a huge hack, and that caused Ethereum to fork. It caused a lot of people lost money, and it really set the industry back years. So it's taken a number, that was back in, I don't know what, 2016, something like that. So it's taken 6+ years for us to regain the confidence in what is in this idea. And so in addition to that, the tools that are enabling DAOs are finally becoming available on a mass scale. So and the great thing is seeing how it's merging between NFTs and crypto. It used to just be crypto, but now you can participate in a DAO with an NFT. And what this really is a new form of organization for value creation. And so, we think of corporations with their hierarchical structure, where you have a manager telling you what you have to do. But really, what that is a pull system. Somebody asks you to produce something, you go and do it, and in return, you get payment. Whereas a DAO is much more a push system. So nobody's telling you what to do. Nobody is essentially governing you. You are contributing to a DAO, you're contributing to the community, and based on your contributions, you receive a piece of the pie. So the more you contribute to the DAO, the more you make. And so it's more of a push system where you're the one pushing the value rather than somebody pulling the value from you. And so it changes a lot of things, because it enables people to not just work for one DAO, they can work for many DAOs at the same time, providing the same amount of work or the same amount of value. And so it's breaking the barriers between corporations. You know, corporations enable monopolies of individuals. With a labor contract, you can only work for this corporation, and you're kind of bound by their rules. But with a DAO, it enables people to take their talent across multiple organizations to create the same amount of value or more exponentially across multiple organizations and capitalize on it. And so we're seeing lots of DAOs starting to pick up. I think we're starting to get there. I think there's going to be a huge explosion in them, and they're going to, a lot of them are going to be fads. A lot of them are going to fail. You know, a lot of individuals are essentially creating DAOs of themselves. So they might be a music personality, and they're creating a DAO where the owners, the participants of the DAO, get to decide what kind of music you make. And so essentially they're your fans. And so the fans are you know, pushing for the musician to create music in a certain direction, and that pleases the fans. And so we're going to see a lot more individuals essentially tokenizing themselves in some ways. So I'm really looking forward to this taking off. So Dasset, what's in store? Really exciting stuff. I'm actually going to do a quick demo, but we have been working really hard over the last year to bring lots of new products and services. So you're going to see some pretty big changes. Last year, we did about $200 million in volume. This year, we expect to do $1.5 to $2 billion in trade volume, if not more. So, you know, we're growing bigger and bigger, and we're really looking forward to servicing our customers and giving them what they need. And so the big area, or big question has been around staking, how to put your money to work. So a lot more returns, and there's a lot more opportunities with things like insurance to give clients that security around their funds being used in smart contracts. We're definitely going to be giving more utility in New Zealand, making crypto usable. You just don't want to see it hanging out in your Dasset account. You want to actually be able to put it to work. So you'll be able to use it in more places in New Zealand because of what we've been working on. And then we are looking at a premium Dasset NFT, or sorry, a Dasset NFT for premium services and support. So as an NFT holder, some benefits may include discounts to hardware wallets, discounts to subscription services, fee discounts when trading Dasset. And I think we may do something like a giveaway to Dasset NFT holders as a trip to Abel Tasman or something like that. So this is something that we are actively working on to deliver in the next few months. So let me just do a quick demo. And in the meantime, does anyone have questions? Okay, so this is a technical question. Has anyone had any issues with logging into Dasset on iPhone after the latest update using Safari? That's a good question. I'm not aware of any, but we'll definitely look into it for you, Matt, because we definitely want customers to be able to log in and access their accounts. We have over 50% of our customers are using mobile, and so from that perspective, we are moving more and more in the mobile direction and want to support that more. So I'm just bringing up my screen. Okay, so your Dasset account is not going to look like this. This is very much a test account. And so with this test account, essentially you'll get to see some of the things that are coming. As you can see, we have this new tool. You'll be able to see your portfolio balance here and track the value of your portfolio over time. What I really wanted to show you before I do that, you may have noticed we have a new deposit process. So with this new deposit process, you can save your bank details in your bank. You don't have to change it, and you can set up recurring deposits from your bank. And what this is really enabling is our new recurring order. It might look slightly different. We will be releasing this in the next few weeks, but this is still testing, so it might look slightly different from what you see now. But just wanted to go into it and show you guys what we've been up to. So essentially, customers can set up the ability to create a one or portfolio of assets that they can essentially create. So I just picked some random ones here. You can change the allocation. Minimum is $10, but you can essentially set how much you want to invest in each one. You can do it as a percentage or a dollar value. So you could do 10% in all the different assets, or you could do however you like, really. So, or you can split it. I'll just do an even amount here. And let me just close that. And so, so you can see this portfolio or this recurring order that I'm setting up. And from here, it should give me some bank instructions. Hello. And then I can essentially deposit to these bank instructions and essentially do a set and forget. I can deposit daily, hourly, weekly, fortnightly, monthly. Anytime the deposit hits, it will purchase that specific portfolio of tokens that you'd like. And so this is a great way to purchase crypto over a long period of time, do it in an automated way, and really, add a new way to mold your investment portfolio. So we're really excited to be launching this. This has been in popular demand for some time, so we're pretty excited about getting this out the door. But this is just the beginning. We're actually pushing out a number of exciting new features over the next couple months. So I'll leave it there and open it up to questions. So please let your Portfolio management tools include an active phone number for your clients to call for investment advice and inquiry. This is something that we've gone back and forth with. We used to have an 0800 number. We took that down because of a few different reasons. There was enormous amount of new customers onboarding, and the support questions and issues were better suited to chat support and email support because of the need to copy paste things like transaction IDs or addresses, which are, it's very difficult to read a 34-carat or character, address over the phone and get it right. And so we do have, in the meantime, chat support from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. We have an Alice chatbot. She's available 24/7, but won't answer specific questions to your account. But if you do, you can talk to a person during 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. Monday through Friday. And then our support desk, support.dassetx.com, and we respond within 4 business hours via chat support. But we do call out. We do call out to clients, and slowly starting to set up a system so we can take what do you call it? Take schedules or schedule phone calls. But that is a direction that we want to go in specifically for the New Zealand community, is set up a consistent call center so that customers can call and talk to a live human. What other questions do we have? Any questions about the market for 2022? Okay, sorry, I missed. How is the affiliate program done? Okay, so the affiliate program, it's a great question. I'm surprised we don't have more market-related questions. So I guess I answered people's questions there. So we have an affiliate program, and essentially with the affiliate program, you can create your own referral. So if somebody else has taken it, then obviously you can't use it. But essentially, what you'll want on this page, you'll create a link that you can share with people via email, blog, text. Share it with your friends. When they go through this link to create an account in Dasset, and they make a trade within the first 45 days, you'll receive $40 and in New Zealand dollars that you can then use to buy crypto or do whatever you want with it, really. And so we have some power users on the affiliate program. We definitely recommend it. It's a win-win for everyone, because you're really helping people get involved in this new space and really help them see what's next in all kinds of different industries. So can you transfer crypto from other platforms to Dasset? Yes. So we have the ability to deposit from, so here's your address. When you click deposit, at least on the crypto side, you'll be able to deposit crypto. Here's this address. So this is essentially an Ethereum address. So any platform that transfers Aave from Ethereum, you can deposit on here. So we do have a lot of clients that deposit or withdraw from other platforms, and that's not a problem at all. We have also added, let's see, can I, this is also a feature that we've haven't really talked about yet, but the ability to actually transfer crypto by email. So rather than send it to somebody's address, you can now email crypto. This won't be, I don't believe this is available on anyone's accounts yet. At the moment, you can only send it to another email on Dasset. So if you have somebody, you have a friend who already has a Dasset account, you can email them crypto. But we will be opening it up where you can email anyone within New Zealand or internationally crypto. And for them to claim it, they do have to create an account with Dasset, but you at least from a ease of use perspective, as a way to gift, we're looking at this as a great means to get crypto into more people's hands. Any other questions? So question from Nove, you define DeFi, however, a practical know-how should assist people to participate in DeFi. Is that something you're looking at providing? So that is something that we've done through these crypto journeys. We do have some of them online, and we'll continue doing them through crypto journeys in the future. And so a lot of them have been hands-on demos, how to bridge from one blockchain to another, how to stake an asset into a liquidity pool for essentially yield farming, how to participate in lending with your stable coins, that kind of thing. So we have done some hands-on demos. We may do a little bit more like how to set up a MetaMask wallet for like early beginners. So definitely keep an eye for these events in the future. All right, so last question, does Dasset have social media, a social platform? So we do have Twitter, Facebook, Telegram, and so feel free to, and they're all Dasset X as the social media handle. So definitely join us on there. And thank you for your interest. And we look forward to engaging with you over the next year. And we're starting to do these every fortnight. So I will see you all in 2 weeks. Thank you so much for attending, and we'll talk soon.